One globe, 7 continents, 195 countries. Recipes more than probably the number of atoms in the universe. A myriad of languages, cultures, and food. Welcome to Across the Globe. Hi, welcome to episode 3 of Across the Globe. Before I start talking about the beautiful countries and their foods, even though I have already given a disclaimer, I want to give a verbal one too. None of the recipes in this video are completely traditional or authentic due to the lack of accessibility to certain ingredients and for convenience purposes. I have attempted to make everything as close to its original as much as I could, and I do not mean any kind of disrespect towards any culture, country, or food. All the information used and provided in this video is from the internet, and now that all of that is out of the way, let's start with the first country, Nepal. Nepal is a landlocked country in Asia and has been tagged as the ceiling of the world for being home to 8 of the 10 world's highest mountains, including Mount Everest. Not only the highest, but it also houses the world's deepest lake called Shefuksundo. Again, I hope I said that right. I hope I pronounced it right. Being a neighboring country to India, there's a great similarity between the two when it comes to their culture, their belief, and most importantly in this case, the food. In fact, the national dish of Nepal is considered to be dal bhat, which I mean is kind of like a staple for a lot of Indians. For breakfast, I made sail roti, which is a sweet rice bread, and some chai. By the way, chai in Nepal is called chia. This bread, which I can only hope I made right, had an almost crusty exterior but was soft and fluffy inside. It wasn't overly sweet, which I loved, and overall a great light meal. For lunch, I made momos. If you've been around for a while now, you know I love momos, but did you know the history of momo in Nepal dates back to as early as the 14th century? Momo was initially a Newari food in the Kathmandu Valley, which was later introduced to Tibet, China, and as far away as Japan by a Nepalese princess who was married to a Tibetan king in the late 15th century. So momo is essentially a dumpling made from flour, oil, water, spices, vegetables and meat. Momos are steamed or fried and served with a spicy garlic tomato chutney or even achar. I made my filling with grated carrot, chopped mushrooms, garlic, cauliflower and green beans. I seasoned the mix with onion powder, garlic powder, salt, pepper and just a little drizzle of soy sauce. I dusted some flour on my board and rolled out the dough. I cut out small circles out of it and filled with the filling. Just so you know, this was my first attempt at making momos ever, so don't be too harsh on me. I steamed these for about 8 minutes and that's served with my garlic tomato chutney, which was store-bought.
Never thought that I could describe such a lonely place. Now there's all this space, nothing can replace. Letting go of you was my one mistake. Counting every day, no I'm not okay.
This is just one of the firsts in this video where I'm shocked by how good the food tasted. It was genuinely so good. All of you people from Nepal, I hope I did your food some justice. But wait, I'm also really mad at you guys. I know a lot of my viewership is from Nepal and I just cannot believe none of you guys ever mentioned that there's a thing called laping which exists. Like what? You are supposed to use potato starch or mung bean starch or even wheat flour starch for the lapping, but luckily I found a recipe which used cornstarch and that's what I made. I combined a cup of cornstarch with 3 cups of water and stirred on heat till it all came together. I set it in a container and kept it in the fridge for a couple of hours while I made the sauce that goes on top of it. I blended a tomato, red chilies and garlic.
Look up at the sky, ask it why are you always so far?
Toasted this in sesame oil, seasoned with salt and added vinegar as well as some soy sauce. I took my cornstarch jelly out of the fridge and cut it into pieces like this. man, I was low-key freaking out when I was preparing to make this because I don't know, it just kind of felt like I would mess it up and just seemed very difficult to make. But it literally came together and holy shit, it was amazing. Seriously, one of the best things I've ever made and tasted in my life. I really do mean it. It was so good. Mexico is the world's 13th largest country, which is enormous, diverse, and vibrant. It is situated at the southernmost part of North America, bordering the United States in the north and Central America in the south. Mexico is packed with rich culture and loads of good food. You know what? Mexico is actually the one who introduced us to incredible foods like chocolate, tomato, vanilla, and avocado, and also Caesar salad was actually invented in Mexico by Cesar Cardini, an Italian-American chef in his Tijuana restaurant. For our very Mexican day, I started by preparing two things that will be used throughout the day: salsa and refried beans.
I stood up at the dark side of the blue, looking out for a half sight to the truth.
And then when they were done, I started making my breakfast. For breakfast, I tried making chilaquiles, which is a traditional Mexican breakfast dish consisting of fried corn tortillas that are simmered in salsa and topped with cheese, onion, sour cream, and served with refried beans. I made my tortilla chips from scratch by simply rolling out the corn flour dough, toasting it on a pan, cutting it into diagonals, and then baking in the oven till they were crispy.
The pain you keep was still beneath the bittersweet. I need it endlessly.
I heated sliced red bell peppers and corn on the stove with some oil, added the freshly made salsa and the chips, combined well, and then served.
Still care for you the same. Days when the last train's calling, I'm not just.
I didn't have sour cream, and the internet said that the best alternative was thick, tangy yogurt, so that is what I used. And I also had some refried beans on the side. I feel like I always say this, but I really wasn't expecting this to be so flavorful and refreshing. I finished the entire thing in like 5 minutes, and I still wanted more. It was insane.
Mexican standoffs between me, myself, and I. Looking back and forth, thinking, oh my love, one of us has gotta try. Oh, yeah, Adam and Eve or an atom bomb was the start of this. Really worth.
If I'm eating Mexican food and don't make tacos, then there'll be something so wrong with me, because tacos are like a Mexican staple, right? And they're so popular, but you will be surprised to know that tacos don't have a very long history. There is no exact history as to when and where they came from, but there's this hypothesis that the first type of taco was taco de minero, which means miner's taco, as in it is believed that the word taco originally referred to a piece of paper that miners would wrap around gunpowder and use in holes that were carved into the face of rock. Tacos were actually originally seen as a low-class working street food, but its popularity came from the fast food brand Taco Bell. No surprise there. Since I am a vegetarian, beef tacos were a hard no, so I tried to recreate the meat filling using soy chunks and walnuts. And not to be too cocky here, but my mom actually thought it was meat, which was like such a compliment because I am the only vegetarian in my family. So for my food to actually look like what it's supposed to look like and what I wanted it to look like, I was proud to say the least. And because of how chewy the texture of the soy chunks is, it tasted really meaty too. Not that I've ever had it before, but you know what I mean. This is me being shook again. This is why I love to make food. You never know what you might like. Okay, but the tacos were very filling and I wasn't hungry for dinner at all, but I still wanted to make elote, I don't know. Please tell me how to pronounce it, which is a Mexican street food made out of corn, which is covered with mayo, sour cream, spices, and then grilled. I used frozen corn because that's what I had and baked it in the oven for about 25 minutes. I served with some leftover beans from the morning and some salsa and of course coriander on top. Delicious! Malta is an island country located in the central Mediterranean Sea. It is a small but very important group of islands which played a vital strategic role in World War II. For Malta, I started by making the dough for Maltese bread, which is essentially a crusty sourdough bread from Malta, usually baked in wood oven. Fun fact, according to this one site, traditional Maltese bread is not a sourdough bread at all. It is in fact a very simple bread made from very simple ingredients. Usually, strong white flour is used to make it, but it was late at night and I am dumb, I couldn't find it, so I just used whole wheat flour instead. I let this no-knead dough sit overnight and then baked covered for 30 minutes and uncovered for 20 minutes. It looked exactly like the one from the recipe I followed, which was so cool.
Get out. When I'm in the mood for a babe, when I'm in the mood for a babe, boss makes one out.
And also it was super soft on the inside. I tried to recreate the open sandwich called Hobbs Bizet, which basically translates to bread with oil. Tomato paste called conserva is spread on the bread. White beans, olive oil, tuna, olives, capers, onions and cheese are added and then baked for a couple of minutes. I improvised this recipe and used kidney beans instead of white beans, a mix of tomato sauce and salsa to replace the tomato paste, and topped with the same.
Going on, said I just can't stop talking. Meanwhile, you knew it all along, you knew it all.
This looked so appetizing and I had high hopes from it, and it certainly did not disappoint.
Well, you must not know about me. You must not know about me. I'm in the boardroom, baby. You must not know about me.
I went to 3 different stores to buy puff pastry. Couldn't find it, but I found some donuts, so I got them and had them. And as for the puff pastry, well, I just decided to make it from scratch. Again, I used whole wheat flour, butter, baking powder, salt and water for the dough.
Lining up to see her. There must be something about her features. You'll find her beauty goes much deeper once you get to meet her. You see her walking down the boulevard.
I kept it in the freezer while I made my pasta pie filling. Oh yeah, you heard it right. Timpana is a pasta pie with the pasta coated in a rich bolognese sauce, encased in puff pastry and served on special occasions. And I low-key get why. As good and satisfying as this was, it was a task to make. I'm not kidding, it took me like a total of 4 hours to make this pie, but was the end result worth it though? Absolutely.
You'll never know. She's a Mona Lisa. Everyone's lining up to see her. There must be something about her features. You'll find her beauty goes much deeper once you get to meet her. She's a Mona Lisa. Everyone's lining up to see her. There must be something about her features. You'll find her beauty goes much deeper once you get to meet her.
Let me paint a picture. I see they don't understand. Feeling like Picasso. She brushing against my hands. Seen you from around the way. You didn't give me the time of day. You be making moves that yeah, who really care what Simon say?
So this was the last dish for this episode, and I'll see you again on episode 4 of Across the Globe, where we will continue this journey together, and bye!
Just hold me down like that, yeah.
She's a Mona